They called him a rapper, a poet, a revolutionary. But behind the fame and the fury, Tupac Shakur was something far more powerful, a man who could make millions feel, think, and rebel. From Ice Cube.
Tupac was one of the biggest thugs I know, and he always was.
To Mobb Deep.
Jump him, cut him, shoot him, all that shit, because it was beat.
Legends reveal truth, and what one rap legend actually said about Tupac will shock you. RZA. Let's start with the legendary RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan, the mastermind producer known for his philosophical takes on hip-hop and culture. RZA had a unique perspective on Pac that goes far beyond surface-level beefs and controversies. In interviews in 2021, notably with Lex Fridman, and on other long-form conversations, RZA explained exactly what made Tupac dangerous in a way most people don't appreciate. When RZA calls Pac dangerous, he's not talking about street cred or gangster posturing. He's pointing to something far more profound, a voice and presence that threatened the status quo.
Then you go to Pac, once again, immaculate voice, but what Pac had, I think, was a way of touching us on all of our emotions. And especially on, like, Pac had the power to infuse your emotional thought, like Brenda has a baby, dear mama. But then he had the power to arouse the rebel in you. You know?
Yeah.
And those two things, actually, he was probably more dangerous than Big, Notorious B.I.G. But Pac was probably going to a point, he was more going into the Malcolm X of things, and society fears that.
Yeah, so he was really good at communicating love and at starting revolutions.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Very dangerous. And Big communicated love, but he wasn't starting revolutions.
Well, it's interesting to think about what the world would be like if they were still with us, but it's the way of the world.
RZ explained that Tupac possessed an incredible ability to connect with people's emotions on every level. One moment, he could have you in tears with Dear Mama or feeling the pain of a young girl's struggle and Brenda's got a baby, and the next he'd ignite a revolutionary fire in you, ready to challenge the entire system. That was the truly dangerous part. Tupac could move people from empathy to action within the span of a single album. What stood out most in RZA's analysis was how he compared Tupac to Malcolm X. That's heavy right there. See, Biggie could make you party, feel good and bob your head, but Pac was on some Malcolm X revolutionary type of energy. And that's what made society nervous. That's what made him dangerous to the establishment. The way RZA broke it down, Biggie was about love, fun, and good times. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Pac was about challenging the status quo, questioning authority, and making people think critically about the system keeping them down. That's the kind of dangerous that gets you on FBI watch lists. You feel me? That's the kind of dangerous that makes powerful people uncomfortable, because they know you could inspire the masses to rise up and demand change. Now, let's switch gears and get into the perspective of someone who was actually in the trenches with Pac during those final intense months. Napoleon. Born Mutabile, he was a founding member of Tupac's group The Out. This dude had a front row seat to the paranoia, tension, and volatility that defined Pac's life after prison. In his 2017 documentary Napoleon, Life of an Outlaw, and his 2018 interview on the No Shame podcast, Napoleon painted a vivid picture of what it was really like being around Pac during that death row era. And let me tell you, it wasn't all parties and platinum plaques. There was darkness, tension, and an underlying sense of impending danger that Napoleon describes in chilling detail.
I know Pac, he's full of surprises, you know what I mean? And Pac was, man, that dude was the type of joke. He go all out. Pac is the type of person, if he's your friend, he's your friend. I'm talking about he will put his career on the line, his life on the line. And you seen that, even if you don't, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie when he got out and shot them 2 police officers. This was true. You know what I mean? Pac just was driving down the street and he seen 2 police officers and they was beating up a young African American. So Pac looked at it like, what is they doing to him? And they had guns. Pac jumped out, shot both of them. And
both cops?
He didn't know they was undercover cops.
Really?
That loyalty cut both ways. You understand? If you were down with Pac, he'd ride for you until the wheels fell off. But if you crossed him, man, it was over. He'd make your life hell. And he had the platform and the power to do exactly that. But what really stands out in Napoleon's account is how he describes those final days before Pac's death.
It definitely was. It's strange, man, because it seemed like Pac knew something was gonna happen to him that day. You know what I mean? Like even with some of the outlaws, he didn't let get in the car with him. His fiance Kadada, Quincy Jones' daughter, he told her no. Matter of fact, stay home. Don't leave the hotel. You understand? So it's very strange.
That's eerie as hell, right? It's like Pac had this sixth sense, a premonition that his time was running out. Napoleon also talked about some strange behavior during that final week.
A week before he died, he bought a lot of them. Like maybe 3, I would say. And he was like, what's up, man? Let's just take pictures. We don't really have pictures for memories. So for like a week straight, he just sat around and we just took a bunch of pictures. I'm like, this dude acting strange.
He was giving away jewelry and taking pictures, almost like he was creating memories for people to hold on to. That's not normal behavior, fam. That's someone who feels like they're living on borrowed time. But Napoleon also described a dangerous environment at Death Row Records itself.
It was always seemed like it was a tense atmosphere, you know what I mean? It was one of them things that it was a situation you had to always be on point, you know? It reminded me of the streets. It reminded me, the studio actually reminded me of the streets in Jersey, you know? After getting shot and doing 1.5 years in prison and coming out dropping the #1 record, the people was losing their mind.
The studio felt like the hood, a place where you had to constantly watch your back, even when you were supposed to be creating art. Napoleon explained that Pac became more aggressive after getting out of prison, but he also put it into context.
After he came to Death Row Records, he was more aggressive, but you gotta understand that he had actually people that wanted to murder him. The people that came to shoot him in that elevator that day in the studio, they came with the intention to murder him, you know what I mean? And the word on the street is that these same people still wanted to murder him.
So yeah, Pac was paranoid, but he had every reason to be. There were real threats against his life. One of the most telling examples Napoleon shared was about the MGM Grand fight on the night Pac was shot.
Like Pac, like he always wanted to show his loyalty. So when one of Suge homeboys is like, look, that's Baby Lane right there who snatched my chain, Pac immediately took off and started fighting him because Pac always was the type of person, I'm gonna show you that I'm down.
That impulsiveness, that need to pervade his loyalty and toughness in every city, that's what made Pac dangerous to himself, Eminem. Now, M never met Pac. Pac died September 1996 before M's main, but his deep reverence for Tupac's artistry and his later work on Pac material provides crucial understanding Pac's lasting impact in hip-hop and why his influence was so dangerous to the status quo of rap. Music in his heartfelt October 2015 tribute letter for Paper Magazine's Nostalgias, which was released to commemorate the 20th anniversary of PA's Me Against the World. M wrote extensively about what made P special and dangerous as an artist. This wasn't just some quick soundbite or promotional quote. This was a detailed, thoughtful breakdown from one of the greatest technical rappers ever, explaining why Tupac transcended the normal boundaries of what hip-hop artists were doing at the time. M never called Pac dangerous in a threatening or violent sense, but he emphasizes something that's arguably even more powerful and dangerous to the music. Pac's unmatched ability to make you feel everything he was going through. He was taking things further than a lot of rappers at the time, pushing it to the next level as far as giving feeling to his words and his M wrote, that's the key right there. While other rappers were focusing on flows and punchlines, Pac was literally putting his soul into every verse, making listeners feel his anger, his joy, his confusion, all of it. Eminem went deeper, explaining the specific quality that set Pac apart. A lot of people say you feel Pac, and it's absolutely true. This wasn't about technical ability or clever wordplay, though Pac had those too. This was about raw emotional connection, about making the listener actually experience what the artist was going through. That's dangerous because it breaks down the wall between performer and audience. When you can make millions of people feel your pain, your rage, your hope, that's power. That's the kind of danger that can inspire movements. But what really stood out in M's analysis was how he broke down Pac's versatility and the multiple dimensions of his persona. M wrote, there were a lot of different sides to him. Fed up, angry, militant, having a good time. His spirit spoke to me because it was like I knew everything that he was going through. You just felt every aspect of his pain, every emotion. Eminem also praised Pac's technical genius in terms of delivery and beat selection. The way he chose which words to say with which beat was genius. Whatever he was rapping about, it was urgent. If it was a sad song, it would make you cry. This is from Eminem, a guy known for his own intricate rhyme schemes and technical prowess. So, when he calls Pac a genius, that means something. The urgency M talks about, that's another dimension of Pac's danger. Everything felt like life or death. Like if you didn't pay attention right now, you'd miss something crucial. What's interesting is that M also touched on P's personality. Beyond just the music, he described him as a superstar in every aspect of the word, adding, you just wanted to know that guy. Like man, you want to hang out with Pac. Even Simeone, as talented and accomplished as Eminem, was starstruck by Pac's charismatic presence. That magnetic quality, the ability to draw people in and make them feel connected to you. That's another form of danger when combined with revolutionary messaging. Wack 100 now. Not everybody who talks about Pac paints him as this larger-than-life figure. Wack 100, the controversial music manager, has been known of Pac's most vocal critics, and his, while definitely contrary and unpopular in the hip-hop community, adds another dimension to understanding how Pac was perceived. In a January 2024 Clubhouse session, Wack called Pac delusional and said he was jealous and bullying Big Dot now. A lot of Pac fans would immediately dismiss this take, but let's keep it a buck. Wack's perspective represents how some people in the industry really felt about Pac, even if they wouldn't say it publicly while he was alive. Wack's most explosive comments came during a November 2024 interview on the Getty radio show. This dude really went in, calling out what he saw as contradictions in Pac's persona and legacy. "I have no respect for Tupac as M," and Wack stated bluntly, going on to say everything about that near is. But here's where it gets real spicy. Wack challenged the whole dangerous narrative by calling Pac a studio gangster, saying his mind reality was gangster. This was on some bizarre clown. He went even further, argued with heard Pac was a follower who adapted from personas depending on where everywhere you went, you turned it into that. Use a follower sheep. Wack's most cutting criticism was about the MGM Grand incident, where he basically called it Pac foolish rather than dangerous, using initiate a stomping out of a known killer. A real Compton _ and think, ain't nothing gonna happen. From Wack's perspective, that wasn't dangerous behavior. That was just stupid behavior that got Pac killed. Now, whether you agree with Wack or not, his perspective matters because it shows that not everyone bought into the Pac mythology. Some people saw him as performative, as someone playing a roller than living an authentic street life. Wack even went as far as comparing Pac unfavorably to Will Smith, saying, "The only thing Pac did better than Will Smith was got killer in real life." It's worth noting that Wack's criticisms date back years, and he's even been involved in controversy around bailing out Pac's alleged killer, Keith D., which raises questions about his motives. But his perspective remains part of the broader conversation about who Tupac really was versus who we remember him to be. Ice Cube. Let's switch up the energy and talk about Ice Cube, one of the West Coast pioneers and someone who actually knew Pac before all the Death Row rock. Cube's relationship with Pac was interesting. There were moments of camaraderie, some subtle tension, but overall mutual respect between two oft realists to ever do it. Now, Cube never explicitly called Pac dangerous, but he did have this hilarious moment on Conan O'Brien's show in January 2016 that speaks volumes about how Pac was perceived. Tupac was one of the biggest thugs I know, and he always was
perceived.
Tupac was one of the biggest thugs I know, and he always was.
Now, at first glance it might seem like Cube was clowning Pac, right? But think about it deeper. What Cube was really saying is that even someone as supposedly dangerous and thugged out as Pac had the sense to wear a seatbelt. He wasn't reckless in every aspect of his life. He valued his life enough to take basic precautions. And that's actually profound when you think about it. In interviews from December 2022, Cube gave more context to his relationship with Pac. He talked about meeting him early in his career when Pac was still with Digital Underground. Cube recalled Pac saying, "This digital stuff is cool, man, but I want to do records like y'all, cause where I live at is messed up." Pac wanted to tell real stories about struggle, survival, and social injustice, just like NWA. Cube also remembered Pac as a fun, high-energy dude, which contrasts sharply with the darker, dangerous image that dominates his legacy. It's a reminder that Pac was multidimensional, revolutionary, paranoid, aggressive, yes, but also funny, charismatic, and full of life. There was reportedly some tension between them in 1996, when Pac accused Cube of copying his style and taking sides during the whole Death Row and Dr. Dre fallout. But notably, Cube never fired back. He just kept it moving, recognizing that Pac was going through things and didn't need more drama added to the fire. Snoop Dogg and Tupac's relationship is one of the most tragic and complex stories in hip-hop history. They were brothers, Death Row label mates, partners in creating some of the West Coast's most legendary music. But their bond fractured in Pac's final months, and Snoop's later reflections revealed just how volatile and unpredictable Pac had become. In an April 2023 interview on Big Boy's Neighborhood, Snoop described a tense plane ride from New York to LA just days before Pac's death. The tension came after Snoop publicly said he had no beef with Biggie and Puff Daddy, something Pac viewed as betrayal. "He was mad at me. I was like, you trippin', we brothers, we family," Snoop recalled. But he was furious. The most heartbreaking part, Snoop admitted 2 days before he died, "I don't think he liked me." Imagine that, your brother, your partner in music and movement, turning against you in his final days because you were trying to stop the cycle of violence. Snoop has also been open about his discomfort with Hit 'Em Up, Pac's infamous diss track. In a 2019 interview with Angie Martinez for Untold Stories of Hip Hop, Snoop revealed, "I didn't like it. It was buying problems." He explained that the record went beyond hip-hop beef. It provoked real gangsters, the same ones who would later take Pac's life. From Snoop's perspective, Pac had blurred the line between rap beef and real street warfare, and that volatility was what made him dangerous, not just to his enemies, but to himself and everyone around him. In a 2022 appearance on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, Snoop got emotional remembering his hospital visit after Pac was shot. He had tubes in him. "I could just feel like he wasn't even there," Snoop said, his voice heavy with pain and regret. Mobb Deep. When it comes to Tupac's beefs, the situation with Mobb Deep shows just how dangerous words can be. How a lyrical battle can quickly escalate into something far more serious. Prodigy and Havoc weren't just rappers, they were real street dudes from Queensbridge, and when Pac dissed them, they were ready to respond with more than just bars. In a June 2012 interview with Vlad T, Prodigy opened up about how deep their feud really ran and how close it came to crossing the line between music and murder.
And that's what that was about. And so did you ever, like, you know what I'm saying, cross paths with Tupac after that? Nah. Or did you ever have any ill will towards him? Oh yeah, I wanted to kill that. Yeah, hell yeah. I want to jump him, cut him, shoot him, all that shit. Because it was beat.
That's as real as it gets, fam. Prodigy openly admitted that he wanted to kill Pac, a statement that shows just how serious and dangerous the situation truly was. He explained that the beef made performing in California extremely risky for them, with real threats lurking beyond the music.
It was a dangerous time for us. I could have got killed, could have got killed, because we was out there on the front line.
They were literally touring in enemy territory, performing a song that dissed the West Coast while Pac and Death Row were at their peak. The beef started from what seemed like a small thing. A line in Mobb Deep's Survival of the Fittest that said, "Thug life, we're still living it." Pac apparently took that as disrespect toward his thug life movement. Then Snoop and Dogg dropped the New York video, kicking over New York buildings. And Mobb Deep felt they had to respond. Havoc spoke about this in detail during a September 2025 Bootleg Kev podcast, explaining, "We were ready for war. We dropped Drop a Gem on M, then pulled it right back after Pac's death." Havoc acknowledged that if Pac hadn't died, things would have gone further, lyrically and probably physically. It could have easily led to someone losing their life. In a January 2012 Hot 97 interview, Prodigy reflected on the beef with some regret, saying, "Thankfully it never went down, but it was bad that he had to die through all that petty rap beef." From Prodigy's mature perspective, he recognized that they were young bulls ready for war over what ultimately came down to pride and ego. What's interesting is that Prodigy also revealed they had mutual connections with Pac through people in Queens. And that Pac knew his beef with Biggie wasn't really about Biggie. It was manufactured controversy to sell records. That's a whole other level of manipulation and danger right there, Xzibit's situation with Pac is one of those stories that shows how dangerous misunderstandings can be in hip-hop, especially when tensions are high and people are looking for enemies everywhere. In a November 2022 interview with The Art of Dialogue, X explained the whole situation in detail. It all started with his song Paparazzi, which had a line that went, "It's a shame, N***S, in the rap game only for the money and the fame." Pac had a song called How Do You Want It, where he also mentioned money and fame, and somehow, word got back to Pac that Xzibit was dissing him.
But what happened is I made a song, my first single off my first album was called Paparazzi. And in the song it says, "It's a shame, niggas in the rap game only for the money and the fame, extra large." At the time, Tupac had a song called How Do You Want It? And it was a line in there where he said, well, you know, I'm in it for the money and the fame. You know what I'm saying? And so somehow, you know how niggas do. They twist it and put it in front of it.
But here's the thing. X was coming from a purist underground hip-hop perspective. He wasn't taking shots at anyone specific, and definitely not at Pac.
Like, I was coming from like a purist hip-hop backpack at the time. Hip-hop rappers didn't want to be commercial, and they didn't want to be associated with pop radio and none of that shit. It was like underground hip hop. That was like a purist statement. And it had nothing to do with, you know, Tupac.
However, as time went by, X eventually got the chance to clear things up with Pac. He ran into him at the House of Blues, where Pac pulled up in a white convertible Bentley or Rolls Royce, and it was all love. "We shook hands," X recalled.
I was hoping to run into him, which I did one time at the House of Blues on Sunset. He rolled up in a white convertible Bentley or Rolls Royce, something like that. He hopped out. It was all love. We shook hands, and he walked to the club, and he tore it down that night. But we never had a chance to be like, "Hey man, this is what I meant."
Years later, X reconnected with from the out, and they ended up collaborating on a song called One Nation. During their conversations, they talked about the entire misunderstanding, And EDI explained that Pac had just been hypersensitive during that time. He felt like everyone was coming after him.
Even like recently, me and Edie did a song together called One Nation. And we spoke about that. And it was such a big misunderstanding. He was like, bro, it was just so much happening at that time.
In a January 2025 appearance on Drink Champs, Xzibit reiterated the story, emphasizing that Pac never directly dissed him, but that the paranoia and tension of that era made everyone feel like threats were coming from all directions. RZA Cass has one of the wildest stories about almost getting caught up in a potential Pac beef, a story that perfectly captures the fear and paranoia surrounding Tupac during his death row days. In detailed interviews from March 2022 with Hip Hop Uncensored and April 2022 with The Art of Dialogue, RZA explained his unintended involvement in the Chino XL versus Tupac situation. See, RZA was featured on Chino's song Rio, and Chino had a line that said, "By this industry, I'm trying not to get underscore like Tupac in jail." It was obviously a shot at Pac, but the problem was, RZA had no idea what Chino's verse said beforehand.
But, you know, I'm on the song where Chino mentions Tupac. So I'm thinking when this song comes out, I'm already like, bro. I didn't approve of it. I didn't say like, yeah, you should say that line. But I literally was not happy about it. I'm like, bro, I don't like that line. I literally said that. You know what I mean?
But when Hit 'Em Up dropped and Pac name dropped, Chino RZA started to panic. "I was like, I'm next," he recalled.
They tell me like, oh, Xzibit and dissed your homeboy. I mean, Pac and dissed Xzibit. I'm just telling you it's coming out soon, 2 weeks. I'm like, man, bro. Like, you know, I'm like, if he dissed Xzibit, I'm doomed. Cause I'm on the song with Chino. So I know I'm finna. I'm like, man, I got so much love, you know, and you know, just as a fan of him, I'm like, dude, I didn't do it, but I could see how he would want to let me.
But here's where it gets really interesting. RZA was hosting a release party when Pac called the owner of RZA's label and asked for 50 tickets to the show.
And he said, what does he want? And she said he wants 50 tickets to Razzcast's show. Because I had my release party. So I'm like, he's gonna get me. And yeah, man. If I'm blind, I'm flying. But I remember the owner looked at me, he's like, what do we do? I was like, give it to him.
RZA was convinced it was a setup that Pac was going to bring a crew to cause problems. But as it turned out, Pac actually respected RZA and his music. In fact, while Pac was in prison, he wrote out his vision for the perfect album and included Razzcast with Easy Mo Be on production. RZA spoke highly of Pac, saying, "I was in awe of Pac, his passion, and some of the stances he took were amazing," while also acknowledging the intensity and potential danger of that era. Dr. Dre and DJ Premier. Dr. Dre's relationship with Pac is legendary, though complicated by business conflicts and timing. Dre produced California Love, one of Pac's biggest hits, and executive produced All Eyes on Me. But their working relationship ended abruptly when Dre left Death Row Records. In a July 2020 Drink Champs interview, Dre spoke about Pac's incredible work ethic. "Pac was the hardest working artist I've ever seen in my life. He'd come in at 8 in the morning and wouldn't leave until 8 the next morning. He'd do 3 songs a day every day. That relentless drive," Dre said, "made Pac a genius." Dre clarified that his issues were with Suge Knight, not Pac. When Pac came home from prison, everything changed overnight. "I was already planning to leave, but Pac joining Death Row sped that up. It wasn't about him, it was about the situation with Suge." Meanwhile, DJ Premier of Gangstar offered a very different take on the infamous East Coast-West Coast feud. In a May 2024 interview with The Art of Dialogue, Premier stated firmly, "There was never an East Coast-West Coast beef. Pac and Big were good friends, I'd seen them together for years." Premier, who knew both Pac and Big personally, emphasized that fans and media amplified the tension. The fans weren't in the mix of what was really going down. In other words, much of what the world believed to be a deadly rivalry was actually driven by hype and misunderstanding. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other deep dives into hip-hop history. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.